Thank you. I'm Chris Wheeler. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for online marketing agency ReachX. ReachX is based in Frankfurt in Germany, and our specialities include SEA, SEO, content marketing, inbound marketing, and a kind of a joined up approach to how to deliver success for a customer. So firstly, thanks to Neil's really interesting presentation about conversion rate, and I hope everybody learned a lot from that. It was really, really cool. Personally, I've been in sales and marketing for over 30 years now, and it seems like yesterday, and online since 1996. So I built my first website as a necessity. I was had a career for 6 or 7 years previous to that in barcode systems, and felt a necessity to have a website. And it was obviously the fact that the World Wide Web was in its infancy, and it was a really basic thing that I taught myself, HTML, and I think I got my first version of Photoshop 1. And it was a picture of a guy being zapped by a barcode, almost like one of these old-fashioned animations where you see these paper animations and it goes from one step to another step. So it was really, really basic. And I think we had something like 30 colors to work with, and not the millions we have now. So from there, I figured out fairly early on that I needed to get my website prominent, and so I looked at what was being called search engine ranking, and obviously this was before Google. This was 1997. So I worked with Alta Vista, Dogpile, and Lycos, and basically tried to figure out what this search engine thing was, what it actually meant for my business, and how could I get my business ranked. And to be perfectly honest with you, in the early days of that, it was a lot of trial and error. My industry was very male dominated, and people were putting words in the back of the site that I wouldn't want to repeat on Friday morning. Essentially, the process was very trial and error. So I transitioned from that, and in 2003-04 I started my first online marketing agency in the UK. That very quickly went from being a local to a national to an international business, and in 2017 I sold that, thanks to Brexit and thanks to other factors. Another agency effectively bought the order book, and I made a transition to Germany. And through a series of progressions, I've arrived at ReachX, and my journey as an expert in this area has seen me use data, creativity, experimentation, and common sense to understand the relationship between a customer requirement and a search engine one. So this morning, what I wanted to try to do with the time that we have is to present a viewer perspective of this journey. And I've entitled it From Meta to Money, but actually it's a bit deeper than that, and we're going to talk about that. So Jochen, if you can do the next slide. I don't know whether you are doing it. Can you hear me? Hello? No, it's fine. So I was your e-commerce customer. What I've tried to do is to show you this from the perspective of your viewer, which is obviously the most important thing. So in this particular case, the initial engagement is going to be via the search engine, and it's that we're going to focus on. But actually, whether you're coming in from a search engine, from social media, from email marketing, from paid advertising, or any other method, the need for the engagement level to be high is absolutely critical to the initial success of my journey as your e-commerce customer or as your website customer. And I make no apologies for the old style, old school Google screenshot. So what happened when I searched? Well, if I searched by a key phrase, then I received a listing of a product or a service of your business. And initially I'm presented with the listings of the top websites for that particular search criteria. Does this necessarily mean that they're the best websites? Not at all. But as a viewer, I normally expect that they are. And so this can present issues in terms of you looking at the top pages and thinking they are the best, clicking through and actually finding out that they're not. So it's a very important point. If you look under the search bar in Google, you will see that there are some search preferences, and you can actually search by time. And if you drop down one of those and select the time frame, maybe the last 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever, you will see the latest results. And that might help you, especially if you're looking for something that's got news-related content to it. So your metadata is the listing itself. So the underlined top title in the search is the headline of the listing. And as far as the search engine is concerned, that's the most important thing. Normally underneath this, you see two lines. The two lines are called the meta description. And the meta description has had varying degrees of, what's the word, importance. Yeah. So in the early days, the meta description was really important for the search engine, and over time it's dwindled, whereas the meta title is actually the most important title on the website, both in terms of inside the source code, the development code of the site, and also in terms of how the search engine is looking at your website. So the recommendation for that is actually that you have no more than 60 characters, including spaces, which in a German market is very difficult because nearly every word is very long. And actually some of the words in the German market mean 3 words in English. So I find that particularly challenging, and it can be a problem. And effectively, the 2 lines now that are underneath, which are the meta description, we recommend that they be about 120 characters because we're thinking mobile first now, and it's probably likely that we'll go mobile only at some point in the near future. And Google can change this. So whilst it actually doesn't have really significant impact on the search engine, it definitely has an impact on your viewer. So what you're looking for is really exciting calls to action. And calls to action are buy now, save 20%, see the special offer here, something like that says, you know, I'm really excited by this potential journey that I'm just about to go on. And I've got something to show you, which is really important. So normally you'll have your keyword or key phrase that you wish to be found on inside that meta description, but it's not always necessary. And effectively, what you should know is when we are trying to rank for any keyword in any market for any URL, effectively we are a follower. And what I mean by that is that everything that we do has to be about our competitor, who's in the top 3 or top 5 in Google, which is the panacea now. And we have to ensure that our metadata, meta title, meta description are in line with the average of those people. So we have specific tools that we use to be able to give us that information. And this enables us to help with the ranking in terms of the perceived algorithm from Google, the mathematical calculation they use to drive the ranking. It's one of the factors, and there are many factors, as I'm sure a lot of you will already know. So it's a question of balance, but it's also a question of if you want to rank seriously for something that isn't a brand phrase, like your company name, for example, then you have to know exactly what you're doing with this particular element. Okay, next slide, please, Jochen. Okay, so the first stage of my journey as your viewer was that I clicked your link and your website loaded. And this is where it can all go horribly wrong, or where we can begin absolutely on the right note. So Google tells us, latest data is that you have 2.54 seconds to capture me as a viewer, yeah, as a potential buyer. And if your web page doesn't load within that time period, then it's likely you're going to lose me. So you've spent money or time getting a ranking which gave you some kind of delivery, and you made your meta title and your description really, really engaging. And I really liked that. So I clicked on it, and because you didn't have necessarily a brand, the offer was there, and I was excited by it. And actually, your page took forever to load, and you lost me. So all the hard work and effort and cost has gone before we've even got to the point of loading the page. The industry, although I've said 2.54 seconds is a reasonable average for a delivery, especially on mobile, the industry told us last year that actually actual averages were more like 13 seconds. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at your data and statistics, and you'll see in the background to this particular slide there is a screenshot of a web page, which I'll share the link with you later, called webpagespeedtest.org. And what webpagespeedtest.org does is it analyzes from the moment that you click the link through to the first page load, what we call the waterfall, i.e. the different loading elements, JavaScript, page, image, video, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, a whole different range of elements, how long they individually took to load in order that the final image, which is your website URL, kicked in. And so it's really important because, again, this is the first point in the journey where I'm either going to leave or I'm going to continue forwards. Okay. Next one, please. So I landed on the URL. I arrived at the page, and for the first time, I got a visual representation of your website. I saw the offer, and hopefully there were some signposts that actually gave me some excitement. And they also, if I came in via Google search, they actually linked in some way to the search criteria that I just used. So you engaged me because my link was made mentally between the point of the search and the point of the landing. Now, the flip side of that is that I made the search, and actually I landed on either the home page or a page which has got no relevance to the actual search that I've just carried out. And this potentially is the first stumbling block. So what can override this is that your brand actually engaged me, and your brand overrode everything. And actually, if you look at some of the biggest brands in the world, and some of the biggest ones I've worked on, TomTom, Dell, Microsoft, Mercedes-Benz, if you look at their data and their Google Analytics, you will normally find that it's actually a delivery on brand, even on organic search, that gives me or gives them the majority of their business. So you can't underestimate brand key phrase searches, but actually for a lot of customers that I used to have, and ones that we have at ReachX, they can't rely on their brand. So and actually in my agency, as I said, I went from a local to a national to an international agency, and arrived on page 1 on Google for SEO agency, web design company, blah, 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 worldwide. And that gave me more power, because actually it wasn't the brand that was carrying me, it was the key phrase. And then I had to make sure that my website was perfect. So if you've got a strong brand, and this was a motivator, then you may keep my interest long enough for me to complete my own search, but it better be a good navigation, and you also better have a good internal linking structure generally. And additionally, obviously, the offer has to be spot on. And if it isn't, then you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm actually going to leave, and I'm not coming back. Jochen. So the page layout. Now, the page layout becomes more and more critical as we transition from desktop to mobile. Regardless of this, you really need to make things clear for me. Otherwise, and again, unless you've got a brand that really overrides any issue, you're going to confuse me. So I may take some time to look on the page, but the longer that time goes on, the less engaged I become. And clearly, there's another caveat, which if I land on a page and it's not actually physically there, we call that a 404 technically, but it's a broken page, you're going to lose me in any case. So over the years, what has happened is that we have seen attention spans drop dramatically. Engagement levels have been reduced, and expectations of great layouts are increased as website design becomes more sophisticated, and customer needs and their demands become greater. So with the latest speed requirements, this ease of layout and of signposting becomes even more important. Yeah. So if the page layout is simple and understandable, I was definitely engaged. But if the page layout is confusing, I might keep searching. I might randomly view the page. I might be engaged by the content. But there's also a chance that I could leave, and you don't want that. Okay. So images, I'm actually a professional photographer as well. And images for me are pretty much everything. So there is an adage that says a picture says 1,000 words, and online, absolutely that's the case, and that's been proven time and time again. So again, with retina ready screens, with high definition, this becomes more of an issue, and people buy with their eyes. So they want crisp, clear images. The more expensive the product, the more detailed, the better, and better the images should be. You're going to inspire me with great images, and you'll engage with me with adding to a great image gallery, and you've really good chance of getting me to the next level. If the images are hazy or blurred, I'm going to lose trust. I'm going to begin to question the quality of the product in my mind. And this is especially true without the brand traction we talked about, or the brand awareness. The stronger the brand, the less this impacts me. But even if this is the case, if you add the fact that the images take a long time to load, and I'm in a hurry, we're living in a fast world, and I came to look at this website in my lunch break, and I was going to do that, and it just took far too long. So it's likely you're going to lose me. And I'm thinking about a lot of different things, especially in an e-commerce journey. I want to know price, availability, reviews, and again, ultimately my time. So sometimes I might not let this affect me so much. Sometimes I might. And again, why take the chance when you're spending time and money getting a customer to your website? Why take the chance to ruin that with really poor images? The other thing to mention also is that there is a serious percentage of the population who have a visual impairment of some kind or another. And on the basis that you don't want to isolate one or the other of that particular of your audience, we use things called image alt tags. And what an image alt tag does is it describes in detail what the image is that I'm viewing. So if I'm selling a Rolex watch, then it's got a black strap and it's on a white background and it's got a bezel and it's got a blue outline, and this is how you describe it. And a lot of SEO people use the image alt tag to stuff keywords into, and whilst in terms of the ranking factor, it's not a huge issue. In terms of this viewer who's got this problem, all he or she wants to know is what does this image look like, because I've turned my images off on my browser. So in order to please them, you need to make sure that all of your images have alt tags. And the hundreds and thousands of websites that I've worked on and looked through over the years, it's still amazing to me that this is something that is left out when it's an absolute recommendation from W3C. And W3C are the World Wide Web Consortium. They were founded by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the godfather of the World Wide Web, in 1993. And there are a series of requirements for accessibility. And again, if you're spending money on getting me to your website, then why would you isolate me? There's no logic to that. And with all the other factors, you're going to lose me again. Jochen. So assumption. This is a really interesting one because there is so much assumption online that it's untrue. There is a lot of perception about your viewer, and in an agency life, you're normally pretty much guided by your customer, who actually may not know well enough his customer. So the issue is you have to be sure that you know exactly what I'm looking for, and use data and use Neil's mentioned Hotjar and A/B testing, and you look and you find and you test and you measure and you rinse and you repeat. And what you're trying to do is make sure that there is absolutely nothing left to chance in my journey. And if you assume anything, then it's very likely that you're going to lose me. So the easiest way to lose me as a customer is trying to predefine whether I'm looking on mobile or desktop. So these days we develop websites and design websites in an environment, typically Bootstrap, where the website is designed and will transition for whatever device I'm looking at. But we've got to look at how we deliver this piece of work, and where are the assumptions. So the assumption was that I was viewing on a certain device. I wasn't, and so my view was weird in the first place. You assumed I knew how to scroll, and actually I don't. So there's a slide mechanism on the right hand side of my browser, and I can go down there, and at the top of the screen you've got what's called the hero banner, which is typically where there are big images and big messages, and you decided that you were going to put your content in there, and some of the key messages were a lot further down than the bottom of my screen. So those messages were lost, and you also assumed that I was in Europe, and therefore I was paying in euros. But if I've got a VPN installed, and if my country ID is masked, let's say, for example, I'm an expat and I live in Frankfurt and I still have a UK bank account, but I want to pay in sterling. So you haven't given me that opportunity. So you're assuming one thing and you're not giving me options. And so once more, unfortunately, you're going to lose me. And I leave. Next. Jochen. Okay, so Cross-sell and upsell. What do we mean by this? So cross-selling something is when you offer me a product and then you offer me something maybe additional to that product. So for example, I might want to buy some Adidas trainers, and basically I need some laces, or I need an insole or something. Then you are cross-selling to me, and you're signposting related items. If you're upselling, I get to view the original item, but you show me other items that are maybe more expensive. They're similar, but not the same. And but yeah, basically, you're giving me an opportunity to spend more money with you. So to put this into context, when you're an offline retailer, and I've worked with many of those over the past 30 years or so, you will know that you advertise your key products, and the advertisement might be on TV, radio, in a number of magazines, whatever, but it's your key product, and this is what you spend the most money on. And when somebody comes to your physical store to buy, you place that in the window, so it's a magnet. And it's in the display, and you entice me basically with other offers. So what's happened is that you've placed the item that I see in the window, and the one I really want, right at the back of the store. And typically, as you're walking through the store to get to the item, you're enticed with other offers, and they're placed strategically as far away, in line in your journey. So the retailer maps out the store, and kind of, without you even realizing it, they're sending you in the direction of this one product. So even once you've collected the star product, you're presented with more at the checkout. Normally, the things that you're presented at the checkout are nominally priced. And actually, even more than that now, you get offers of, there'll be something on your receipt with an offer. There might be the offer of a store card. There could be a lot of different things. So basically, e-commerce is absolutely no different to this. And the website journey normally begins with offers in the hero banner at the top of the screen. And possibly there's more than one. So we have the option to have rotating sliders, and we have the option where you arrive at the website and the web page, and you make a second visit, and on the second visit you actually get a different offer. So there are lots of different ways as developers that we can create offers, and as marketers, this is a truly golden opportunity to capture the viewer. So without these offers, you've not made me feel very special. Yeah. And if you don't make me feel very special, then I'm not engaged. And so with modern websites, the importance of customer personalization is getting more and more critical. And what I mean by that is I might have actually been allowed to log in via social media or via my Google account. And actually, so over time, I should get even more offers that are personalized to my preferences. And this makes me feel special, and it also makes me feel part of your community. And this community, I might interact with on a blog. There might be a forum, and this then transitions into customer lifetime value. So what I'm looking for is, in exactly the same way as offline, I'm looking for all these different elements, and basically an offline retailer expects to make 75% more than the sale of the original item with extra purchases. And this is how retail offline has grown over the decades. So if you use this methodology to cross-sell and upsell, what you're actually going to do is at nearly every stage that you take me through, I'm going to find something that I can add. So in a typical e-commerce environment, you land on the category page. We normally optimize in search for the category page, and then you will take me into the product page, and there I will see the gallery. I will see the options for adding the volume by color, whatever else, and I can pretty much signpost other related products or discounted products all the way across. And even at the point of the checkout, what I want to be able to do is to add to the basket with something else. And again, this might be a smaller item, but don't leave it there. So what actually happens is I place my order, you acknowledge the order, the email comes in to my inbox saying, thank you very much, Chris, you bought these Adidas trainers. Why not tell your friends and we're going to give you 10% off the next item? Or even without telling your friends, we're going to give you something, and you are now part of this special community, and we want you to engage. And this is how we keep customers, and this is how we extend the customer life cycle. And as I said, the early model was e-commerce, was offline commerce, high street commerce, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be exactly the same for you with your online shop. Okay. So next one, please. So using the website functionality, Neil's is very experienced in understanding website functionality with A/B testing and understanding different colors. And he was absolutely quite right when he talked about website relaunches and the ability that you actually have to test, measure, rinse, and repeat with your website is a lot less expensive than a relaunch, and a relaunch is fraught with danger. So I would echo those sentiments. Website functionality is essentially what your website can do and how it works. So it encompasses everything from the actions a user can perform to dynamic content and interactivity. This day and age, people want to see everything with a wow factor. Yeah, they want video, they want this, that, and the other. So providing the right functionality is crucial to the success of the website, and it should be an essential part of the planning phase. And I can't stress enough how important it is to map this journey out right at the get-go. So in an agency, normally you would take a brief, you would try to collect some data and some analysis, and then what would happen would be you would kind of mind map out with a sitemap exactly what you believe the expectation and the journey was for the viewer from the point of entry to the point of exit, and how you keep them in the loop. And this goes to different areas. So providing the right functionality is absolutely crucial, and planning, if you don't plan, you will fail with this. So before the website is even written, designed, coded, you should have a clear scope of the features it's going to offer you. Getting halfway through a website build just to realize that you're missing some essential functionality can absolutely derail your project. And in an agency, I don't know how many times I've had a conversation, or my designers have had a conversation with a client, and we've got through the design stage, and it's been a backwards and forwards process. Some iterations have gone on, and the customer said, yeah, I absolutely love that. And my development team have been tasked with sharing functionality or showing other websites with similar functionality without plagiarizing that. And we've gone through, and they've signed off and said, yeah, absolutely brilliant, Chris. We love this. Your guys have done a fantastic job. and we then talk to them and say, we're going to start the process of development, and we can be 2 weeks into it, and somebody says, or the customer says, can you just? And one thing a designer or a developer of a website or any marketing material doesn't want to hear is, can you just? So to plan it out is really, really vital, and to set some clear defining goals, benchmarks is cool. So where do you begin narrowing down the requirements for your website? The things that you really should consider, it's not always the case, but insight search is absolutely vital on an e-commerce website. Especially if you're thinking about products that have got multiple filters, and by that I mean searching by color, searching by price, ascending, descending, searching by brand within the website. All these elements need to be clearly defined, and actually you can create a tiered system for your search. So insight search can be, I could actually search by clicking on an image and be taken to another URL. I could search by typing into a search box and being presented with some options, rather like the Google search itself. Or I could actually search by the content within the website has got some internal hyperlinks with some anchors that take me through. And again, the bigger the website, the more important this becomes. There is a big school of thought about creating breadcrumbs, and breadcrumbs you sometimes see under the hero banner where it says homepage, category page, product page, and you physically see those signposts or links. Really important. So I can't emphasize enough how important site search is, and the more products you've got, the bigger site you've got, the more vital this becomes. Having a blog or a news area, yeah, there's a jury out, jury in situation with blogs, because a lot of people don't want to leave or have the ability for their customer to put comments on there because they're afraid of negative comments. And negativity pervades the internet. Unfortunately, it's got worse, and reviews and recommendations are in some way good and in some way not so good. So a lot of people prefer to offer. In Germany, you have Ratgebers, which are like advice pieces, but they don't actually give you the ability to comment on them. And a blog is a useful tool in terms of exuding your authority, especially when you don't have the brand. If you're putting your news out there and information about your company and customer case studies, things like that, really important. Excuse me. So video, we can't underestimate video enough. Again, it's a combination of people buying with their eyes and essentially getting some kind of level of engagement. But this is all about balance. And what I mean by that is you need to ensure that your video is long enough that it engages, and not so long that actually either people will just sit there and your analytics will say that you got some engagement, but you couldn't follow the next step with your measurement tools. So it's really important to try to get a balance. And videos now typically, one good feature is that they are fed into your website via YouTube or something similar. YouTube especially is good because it's a Google product, and there is a correlation there between putting content actually on your YouTube channel and linking that back into your website. So it also helps with the speed. And again, we'll talk more about that, and we have talked about the page load and things like forms, social sharing. Again, a lot of people say, "Oh, why have I got a social media bookmark on my category page? Why not test it, see if it works? Why not say I bought? The link to your friend is I bought this. It was really good value." And it's a good way of viral marketing. So I wouldn't disregard that, but I would want to test it. So there are lots of different elements there, and we've talked about the starting points. These other elements just add to the mix. And again, my expectations as time goes by are dwindling. Yeah, I'm losing interest unless you're keeping me hooked. I'm going. So we've talked already about the start points. What I'm trying to do is not sacrifice time. Technically, adding more functions may slow the site down. It could also hinder the progression of the search engine itself. So it's about balance and thinking technically. The search engine spiders take absolutely points of a nanosecond to crawl your website. On average, it's like 0.5 of a nanosecond. And if they're blocked in complex navigations, or there are broken links or other issues, they're not going to crawl successfully. And this could be one of the only few opportunities a month to receive a visit from a search engine. So again, you're spending money on optimizing, on ranking, and it's not going to work for you. So to sum this all up, basically, this is a marriage of necessity and not convenience. Yeah, you've invested probably quite a bit of money in getting me to your website. Yeah, in fact, you've spent a lot of money getting it designed, getting it developed, conceived, depending on the different levels that you've taken, prototyping to bring your website to life. What you're trying to do is you're trying to marry the requirement of the search engine with the requirement of the viewer. And so this is a combination of the technical and the real. And the technical is a series of steps that you must follow, whether it's search engine steps, whether it's coding steps, and the search engines don't forgive bad quality. Yeah, so why wouldn't you have the best? And I've been talking about this for 20 years more, about the need for code that validates, code that is clean. Why does that matter? Because again, firstly, why wouldn't you do it? If Tim Berners-Lee and his organization say you must have a website that conforms, and we've actually created an organization for conformity, why wouldn't you do that? Yeah, what you're going to do is you're going to isolate me as the viewer or me as the search engine, and that's just a ridiculous waste of time. What we're trying to do is take you on a delivery from the point of entry to the point of sale. And I just wanted to touch on this subject of funnels, because funnels is a very interesting subject that I've talked to a lot of people about. And there's a great misconception that funnels have anything to do with online marketing, and I'll quantify that. The funnel system was actually created by a British guy, I think, called Lewis in the 1800s. And it was a model for engineering excellence and nothing to do with marketing. And at some point in the last 15 years, marketers have taken it on board that there is this top of funnel with blogs, bottom of funnel with checkout, intermediate step approach to delivery. And of course, as time's gone on, different entry points have evolved: social media, email marketing, search, etc., etc. And so what you want is some kind of like an infinity symbol for your marketing, which is you bring me into your website at one point. Preferably you bring me at a point where I can start to make some kind of a decision. Yeah. As I've already mentioned, you're going to look to get me to a certain point. If it's a non-e-commerce website, you might want to get me to a contact form, and I might want that. But actually, if it's an e-commerce, then clearly I want you to start filling your basket. And once you've filled your basket and you've done all this cross-selling business, then you come back out of the cycle. You get your email. The email says, "Thank you for joining my club," and you come back in again. And equally, you're sharing with different people. So what you're trying to do is keep the cycle going in this kind of infinity loop. And so for me, I don't see funnels as being a really good analogy anymore for delivery of a customer in an e-commerce experience. And that's just my point of view. But what we need to make sure is that we keep our journey fluid, and if we have any roadblocks at all in the journey, we're definitely going to lose the customer. Yeah, if we don't have clear signposts, if we have hazy images, broken links, content which is too much or too little, then we're going to have problems. So the journey that is excellent is one that uses joined up thinking, and actually in your own strategy, you might have a combination of social media, paid advertising, SEO, email marketing, affiliate, And one thing that still staggers me is that a lot of companies, especially bigger companies that I've worked with, where there's millions of revenue on e-commerce, they still, although they're happy with what they've got, they could get so much more. Yeah, and they could get so much more by joining up the dots of their marketing and delivering some kind of excellence. And what this should also do is actually mean that you, as an owner of an e-commerce or a shop or a website, you can see for yourself where the money is best spent. Yeah, so I think it's important that the journey is excellent, and if it is broken or diverted, the journey ends, and all the money that you've spent trying to get me to your website is absolutely ruined, and that's the money.